Well, good evening, folks, and welcome to another night of entertainment from Common Ground on the Hill. We have an hour-long show for you tonight, coming from the Folklife Center at McDaniel College here in Westminster, Maryland. Actually, we're coming to you virtually, so we're not really at our Folklife Center on the campus of McDaniel College, but we are here, and apparently you are too. We have a great night lined up for you with performer instructors from here at Common Ground on the Hill. But to start things off tonight, we're going to do something that is rarely done at folk camps, and that is start off with a little magic. Now, Dave Thomen of D's Magic is a WJZ CBS News Baltimore's Best Magician and National Theater Stars of Magic recipient. He's performed for all ages in our community schools, businesses, and families for over 25 years. His first year of magic class was fantastic, and I believe we're now in our third year of magic instruction. So next year, be sure to sign up and learn some magic tricks that will entertain. And I should say that Dave Thumb is also available for private events, so check him out. But now make welcome on our virtual stage, the magician, Dave Thomen.
Thank you, Walt. Thank you, Common Ground on the Hill. It is a pleasure to be with you here tonight. This is my finale for Traditions Week this year, and I'm excited to be coming to you live. But I want you to know that I'm looking forward to having a chance to being at Alumni Hall at the college like I was in 2019 and performing on the stage. But Walt, I have to tell you, I have some significant benefits to doing things here in my home theater, because there's things that I can't travel with that I can show you here in my home. Now, with that being said, Walt, there'll be no camera trickery here. So I don't need Walt yet for anything. We can go ahead and big screen me, making sure everyone can see the magic at this point, because I have something small that I want you all to be able to see. It's this little gift box right here. Now, if this gift box was something for my daughter, Sarah, who you'll be meeting tonight, or my wife, Mrs. Thomen, chances are there would be some earrings in there. But tonight's gift is a gift of magic, which means I have to use this type of card box. And rather than do a card mystery to start with, I want to do a mental one. So this actually involves everyone out there watching, because I want to capture your thoughts like the cards in this deck. I need everyone out there right now to think of a major team sport. Baseball, soccer, think of a major team sport. Got it? Now, let's think of that word, of that team sport that all of you are thinking of, and think of the second letter of that team sport that you're thinking of. Go ahead and think of the second alphabet letter. Got it? Now we're going to use that second letter of the alphabet, the second letter of your team sport, that alphabet letter, to visualize once again. So using the second letter, think of a fruit that begins with the second letter of that team sport. Think of a fruit. So you're all now visualizing a fruit. Got it? Well, let's go back to the alphabet. I need everyone right now to think of the last letter of the fruit you're thinking of. So everyone's thinking of different fruits, and now everyone's thinking of the last letter of that fruit. And finally, we're going to visualize using that last letter of the fruit. Will you all think of something you would eat for breakfast using the last letter of that fruit? Think of it right now, and I'm going to see if my prediction tonight perhaps can work some magic. Were any of you thinking of an egg? You know what you were? Well, that's wonderful. In fact, I'm going to have my daughter take this egg from me. I don't want it to break. I don't want the yolk on me. So Sarah, if you wouldn't mind coming up here, I'll give you this egg. I have to tell you, I joke around because I have a kinship to eggs. Here, Sarah, just take this egg. I'll have you come back on screen later on. But I never juggled cards or manipulated cards as a kid. I probably spent more time manipulating eggs and juggling eggs. In fact, it was interesting growing up for me because in our house in East Berlin, Pennsylvania, as a child, when I was thinking about becoming a magician and doing something with cards, I soon realized that our family, we didn't play with a full deck. Seriously, we didn't. I couldn't even find a full deck of playing cards to practice the magic with. In fact, it was funny because initially the only deck I could find was a pinochle deck, and that's not going to work for a magic trick. So this is what I was thinking we could do with cards tonight, because as a child, I always thought card magic could use just one card along with my passion today. As an artist, my passion is time, how magicians view it, how people view it, humans, how we measure it, how we think about time. So I've always thought in terms of time. And do you know, Walt, that there is a synergy between time and playing cards? In fact, there are 4 suits in a deck. There are 4 seasons in the year. There are 13 lunar cycles in a year. There are 13 cards in every suit, 52 cards in a deck, 52 weeks in a year. There's a synergy, a connection between playing cards and time. And Walt, I'm going to do a card trick with you tonight using that synergy of time. So Walt, can you hear me?
I certainly can.
Walt, I need you to do me a favor. I need you to think of something important in terms of a month and date that you would celebrate. Now, Walt, don't think of your birthday. Obviously, that's too easy. We could Google that. But Walt, could you think of a month and date, maybe something that's special to you that I would have no idea what it is? Like I would have no clue what month and date you're thinking of. Walt, do you have something in mind?
I do.
Okay. Now, Walt, I want you to think of that event and something that is important to you. Think about the month now and send me your thoughts through the screen. Think about the date. Wow, you're really sending me your thoughts there. It's coming. Now, Walt, wait a minute. The date, is it an even number?
Yes, it is.
How about that? And keep thinking of this event. Now, Walt, this event, this month and date, you and I didn't prearrange anything, correct?
Nope.
Other than telling me I was performing tonight, you had no idea I'd be asking you to do this.
That's correct.
And
Swear
Walt,
on
you
my
and I
life.
are kind of probably old-fashioned in the way of how we track time, not just using our phones to track events, but of course, you and I probably grew up in the day timer, the day runner. And that's
right.
what this is. And rather than having shows listed in here, Walt, I actually listed on each given day the name of a playing card. Now, with 365 days in a year, of course, all the cards are used more than once. But Walt, I want to see if there's a synergy tonight. Could you please tell me the month and date you're thinking of right now?
April 22nd.
April 22nd.
Yes.
I'm going to turn to April 22nd in here. And you can see I not only wrote the names of the playing cards, but in marker, I put a number and a letter with the appropriate color. So you can see how all the cards are there different, Walt, on those given pages?
I can. Mm-hmm.
Let's look at, what was the date again? April
22nd.
Can you read where my finger is, what that playing card is right there?
I really can't. I can't see it well enough. It's
Can you all read the 6 of clubs out there? Give me a thumbs up. Those of you in the concert.
I see
a 6C.
Yes.
6C, 6 of clubs.
Yep.
I told you there was a special card in my life, Walt, growing up as a kid, because I didn't have a full deck. In fact, in this day runner, I keep one envelope. And the envelope is very important. But it's a card that I had a connection with growing up. And we said that card in the day runner was what?
6 of clubs. Well, I'm sort of feeling weird right now.
You know, you and I don't have a kinship, but yet now maybe we do have some type of relationship. Isn't that interesting? Well, if you don't mind sharing, what was the significant event that you were thinking of?
My daughter's birthday.
And what's your daughter's name?
Wesley.
Wesley. Well, Wesley, happy April 22nd birthday to you. Abracadabra, it's your birthday every year on April 22nd. Congratulations. Wow. I must say, when I gave Sarah that egg earlier, it does remind me that we have more pets than people in my home. In fact, if we can go big screen now for the rest of the show. Thank you, Walt, for your assistance with that.
Thank you for the magic.
You're welcome. But I have a couple other things I want to share with you, though. If you have family pets in your home, you know that pets are very special. In our home, we have more pets than people. In fact, I want to introduce a pet to you right now. But before I do, I need to give you a clue. Using a handkerchief. A clue about what's going to happen next. The pet you're about to see. We have artwork in our home of our pets. In fact, I want to share with you something that's hanging right behind me here this evening. This is a painting of one of our pets. How about that, everyone? Everyone, I'd like you to meet one of our pets, and I'd like you also to meet at this time my daughter, Sarah Lynn Thomen. Sarah, can you join us, please? Hey, out there in YouTube land, can we give my daughter Sarah a big round of applause? You don't need to keep carrying the egg. Then why don't you put that down on the table so it doesn't break? Thank you, Sarah. We do know that birds come out of eggs, but that's a chicken egg. That's just an egg from our refrigerator. Sarah, do you want to tell everyone how old our pet dove is?
20.
20 days?
20 years.
20 years old, yes. She's a rescue, so we don't know her exact age, but believe it or not, a dove like this can live up to about 30 years. And now when we first adopted the dove, we thought it was a boy and we named it Jerry, Jerry. But guess, Sarah, you want to tell them what we found out?
She was a girl.
Yeah, she's a girl. So how do we spell her name now?
G-E-R-I.
G-E-R-I. So let's give Sarah and Jerry a big round of applause for making a special appearance tonight for Common Ground on the Hill. Thank you, Sarah Thomen. And finally, everyone, I want to leave you with something that I said in week 1 of Traditions Week. I made a creed in week 1, or I should say I shared a creed with you in week 1 in regards to how I think about time. But then last night, during the keynote, I heard something very special from Dr. David Carrasco. He shared with me the motto of McDaniel College, or what used to be Western Maryland, of course, and I never knew what that was. The motto for the college in its 27th year of Common Ground on the Hill is, I call you out of darkness into light. That's the motto. I call you out of darkness into light. And you know, there's things in my mind that have made my imagination glow and grow. And that's one of them. What he talked about, what we do in that light, what we do in that moment. So I want you to remember, in wrapping up, that I've always believed that the past is history, the future a mystery. Today is a gift, which is why we call it the present. But magicians take it one step further. We think of every moment that way. That's why this clock block has been frozen in time. A good representation that we all can think of is this. I remember seeing this in my kitchen, the sand timer. In fact, I remember hearing growing up, like sand through the hourglass, so are the days of our lives. But you know, that's a misnomer, because time doesn't pass, we pass through it, moment by moment. And even in a pandemic, when we had bad moments, those moments are important. In fact, we should think of caring for each and every moment. Time in a bottle or a clock in a box, magicians, as well as everyone, we should care for each moment. In fact, it wasn't a magician who said that moments can move us. And they certainly can. A moment moved. You know, even in a bad moment, we should remember that is important, because even in a bad moment, we can learn from that, can't we? Because even maybe a bad moment can somehow move us to remember that, well, in the end, it is the end. The moments run out. So we should cherish each and every moment and remember that the past is history, the future a mystery. Tonight is a gift, which is why I call it the present. Thank you for your presence tonight, everyone. Thank you so much. It's been fun here participating virtually again with Common Ground on the Hill. Take care of those moments, everyone, and the years will take care of themselves. Thank you so much.
Well, thank you, Dave Thomen. And I just, wanted to say, if we don't see you in the future, we'll probably see you in the pasture. And we really appreciate you being here. I had to do that. Thank you so much, and keep working your magic. We need magic in our lives. We need the magic. Thank you for bringing it. Our next performer comes to us from Norfolk, and Amy has been working with Common Ground on the Hill for a number of years. She's a wonderful musician and singer and community builder, and she's teaching guitar and ukulele with us. And I just can't say enough great things about Amy Ferebee from Norfolk. Make welcome, Amy.
All right, let's get started. Here's one by the great jazz pianist Billy Taylor. This song was made famous by Nina Simone, and it has a very long title. It goes, I wish I knew how it would feel to be free. I wish I knew how it would feel to be free. I wish I could break all these chains holding me. I wish I could say all the things I should say. Say 'em loud, say 'em clear, for the whole wide world to hear. I wish I could share all the love in my heart. Remove all the bars that keep us apart. I wish you knew how it would feel to be me. Then you'd see 'cause I know, yes, I'd sing, 'cause I know how it feels to be free.
Wow, Amy Ferebee. Well, she gets a lot of music out of that ukulele, doesn't she? Ukulele, what a great instrument. Thank you so much, Amy, for all your wonderful music and showing us how to play that instrument. It's been a great ride, and we look forward to you being back with Common Ground again. Our next performer comes to us from Albuquerque, New Mexico, and he has been with us for 15 years. In and out. We haven't seen him for a while. This year he comes to us, and we're so glad to have him back. He served on our board of directors for a good while, and he's been very busy earning a PhD. Let me just tell you a little bit about Lee Francis IV. He's of the Pueblo of Laguna. He's the head of he calls them Indigenerd and CEO of Native Realities, the only native and indigenous pop culture company in the United States, with the hope to change the perception of native and indigenous people through dynamic and imaginative pop culture representations. He's been published in multiple publications ranging from poetry to short stories. His first comic book is Six Killer, which debuted in June 2018, and Ghost River, which was published in 2019. Both having been lauded throughout the U.S. and abroad. We're just really happy to have Lee Francis IV here. He follows his father's legacy. His father was a great writer and formed the Wordcraft Circle of Native Writers, which is still running to this day, and Lee heads that up as well. So make welcome Lee Francis IV.
This is the story of when the spring people and the autumn people went to war. And so, in the long ago time, the spring people and the autumn people came together to find a way to celebrate and honor Creator Spirit. Now, these two peoples were very different from each other. The autumn people were full of wisdom, patience, understanding, and perseverance. The spring people were full of energy, determination, strength, and passion. They did not often meet, but felt that for this moment, it was important to celebrate Creator Spirit together. For many days they met and talked and talked and talked and talked and talked. Many of their peoples came up with wondrous ideas, but ultimately, both peoples, the spring and the autumn, decided that the best way they could show their gratitude to Creator Spirit was to build a great tower that would stretch high, high, high into the sky, where the home of Creator was located. They would be able to bring gifts and sing songs and show how grateful they were for all the wonderful blessings they had received. Both peoples agreed this would be a good plan. So they started on the work, and they decided at the beginning that the spring people would build the great tower as they were strong and had the determination to see the job through to the end. The autumn people had the perseverance and wisdom and would stay on the ground and prepare the scaffolding, the meals, and the gifts for when the great tower was complete. They all agreed that this would be a marvelous undertaking, but they both had requirements. The autumn people asked that the spring people return often and tell them stories of their building and the amazing sights they had seen. They wished to be enchanted by the blessings from Creator Spirit, but could not travel to the Sky House, as they did not have the strength to make such a strenuous journey. The Spring People asked that the Autumn People secure the base of the tower, as it might blow in the wind, and it might topple over if their perseverance was not dedicated to supporting the construction. And they all agreed to their responsibilities. And so the building began. Board by board, level by level, the great tower began to climb into the sky. And for a time, the Spring People would return and tell the Autumn People of the challenges and rewards, of the sights and sounds. They would tell stories, and the Autumn People made sure the base was strong. But as time moved on, and the tower grew ever taller, the Spring People returned less and less, and the Autumn People began to drift away to other jobs and responsibilities. Then one day, a wind came. It started in the fields a long way off, and it slowly built and built and built until it was a great and powerful wind. The great tower began to sway back and forth and back and forth, and then in one roar of sound it all fell down to the ground. As the dust cleared, the Spring People emerged from the rubble. The Autumn People rushed to the remains of the great tower. The Spring People, confused and angry, shouted at the Autumn People, "You left us and didn't keep the tower from falling." The Autumn People shouted back, "You left us and never came back to tell us the stories." And they shouted and shouted and shouted at each other, and soon they began to fight, and soon they began to make war, and soon they broke each other all apart. But there were two of the people, two elders who kept the fires, one spring and one autumn, who had not waged war, but rather had seen all that had taken place. They knew the truth about how the great tower fell. And so they collected the pieces of all the peoples and began to put them back together again. Piece by piece, they made the people whole. Well, almost. You see, before they finished each person, they traded one piece, so that each of the peoples shared their pieces. The Spring People with one piece of autumn, and the Autumn People with one piece of spring. And so it is, to this day, that all the people share both autumn and spring within them, and it is simply an act of remembering this very true and very old story, that we can finally find our way to honor Creator Spirit.
Thank you, Lee Francis. So I try to find my way back to my Zoom page here. Well, I know that you're there. I can't see myself, but I'm going to move ahead and introduce to you Susi Seguret, who is from well, she's from both sides of the pond, really. She grew up in Appalachia in North Carolina, Madison County, I believe, and somewhat near Asheville, and grew up on a farm that grew everything you can imagine, and provided her own table with her wonderful parents. And along the way, of course, she learned a lot about the music of Appalachia. And she has studied in Paris for 20, or in France for 20 years, and is an amazing chef, and brings to us a class, Frappalachian cooking, which is combining the great culinary sense from France and pairing it with the wonderful food ways here in our beloved Appalachia. Susi's also a great fiddler and has toured with a number of great acts. And also she's a songwriter and a dancer. I think she's really the ultimate Appalachian experience. Make welcome from North Carolina, Susi Gott Seguret.
Mute myself. Unmute. That would be a really good idea. Cheers, everyone, and thank you, Walt. It's a pleasure to be here and a great honor to be part of this Common Ground experience this week and this 3-week span. I am, as Walt said, teaching cooking actually this week. So you see all those pots and pans behind me, which, you know, if I play it right with my fiddle bow, I've got I've got some percussion in the background. And it's interesting. Life, of course, takes all kinds of twists and turns. And I started out playing music for a living. And I've done that most of my life since I was 4 or 5 years old. And my daddy put an old time banjo in my hands that he had made and covered with a groundhog hide. And then he, of course, he was a dance caller, so he needed a square dance fiddler. So square dance fiddle tunes quickly became part of my repertoire. And then as time went by, I found myself touring with a bluegrass band that did several tours and played festivals in France. And I got detained for 20 years, discovering all the wonderful food and wine of France, and gained about 20 pounds in the process. And anyway, I had the good fortune of traveling in all these little back areas of France, tasting all the cheeses and all these amazing flavors and things that you wouldn't necessarily find in restaurants, but I did find in homes. And then I'd come back and experiment with them in my kitchen. And then when I found myself with 3 children and it was kind of hard to be on the road all the time, I decided to start a cooking school, which in fact, I started at Warren Wilson, which is home of the Swannanoa Gathering for those of you who visit multiple camps. And that was the seasonal school of culinary arts. And that's been going on for, 16, 17 years now. So that's a week-long experience with other sessions in other parts of the world. So we have an autumn session in Ithaca and a winter session in Sonoma and a spring session in Paris if there are enough people to make that run. And I also do foraging sessions at home and always try to weave music into the various elements, because I find that music and food have that common ground, if you will, of innovation particularly. So obviously there's a lot of innovation that goes on in music, particularly in the jazz and the bluegrass fields. And there's, of course, innovation all the time in cooking. The best cooks can take any ingredient or any mistake that might happen along the way and turn that into a beautiful dish. So, without further ado, because you've heard me talk enough, I'm going to play a little fiddle tune that comes from Madison County. This is one that I learned from actually Demina Shelton down the road, who used to babysit me when I was a child, and I'd get lost and end up down at his house. And it was also played by Bard Ray, if anybody knows Bard Ray, who's a Madison County fiddle legend who sadly is no longer with us, but his music lives on. And this, for a little bit of a culinary suggestion, you see my kettle back there. This is called Polly Put the Kettle On, and my mother's name is Polly, so this one's for her. All righty, let's back up here so that we can have a little bit of perspective. All right, this is Polly Put the Kettle On. So you can hear that old lonesome bagpipe drone sound that is typical of the fiddle styles of this region. And I wanted to add that a fellow that I studied with in France, whose name is Hervé Tisse, who's considered the father of molecular gastronomy, has a concept that he calls note-by-note cooking, la cuisine note à note, which equates musical notes with flavors, and you build dishes in the same way that you pair notes together, combining 2, 3, 4, however many of them to form a chord. When you combine flavors, you obtain a dish. And then when you combine those chords, you obtain a song. When you combine those dishes, you obtain a meal, of course, and that becomes a symphony or a banquet when you add enough elements together. So I like thinking of that kind of building. I grew up in Madison County, which is in western North Carolina, between Asheville and Johnson City, Tennessee, right next to the Appalachian Trail. And this is a county where, if you've been down here, you know the story. If you haven't, Cecil Sharp came through here in 1916 and recorded a lot of ballads. He was searching for the old songs in the old country in the British Isles, and most people had forgotten the words, but he found this little pocket of Madison County where the folks remembered those old songs, the same ones that he was seeking. And he recorded a number of people in Madison County, the really lonesome ballads. They were raw. They weren't necessarily, classical kind of beauty or jazz kind of finesse, but they really hit you in the gut. So that's what I've grown up with. So I'm going to sing a song here that's could be an unaccompanied ballad. I'm going to bring the guitar in just right now because it will help me with a little bit of background. This is one I wrote in the style of the old songs, and I care for my parents who are sadly aging but still gloriously with us. And so I think about aging, and I think about death a lot, of course, and as we all do, especially in these times. And this is one that I wrote to comfort those thoughts and fears. It's called By and By, and you're welcome to sing along with the chorus in your own space if you wish. When my days were young and my fortune just begun, we were far away from days of by and by and by. We were far away from days of by and by. There were songs to sing, there was daily bread to bring, and we never gave a thought to by and by and by, and we never gave a thought to by and by. But there came a time as on we climbed that my soul began to sigh. I could see the day when my life would turn to clay, and I traveled to the shores of by and by and by, and I traveled to the shores of by and by. Though the way was rough, I can't say I've had enough of the pleasures on this side of by and by and by, of the pleasures on this side of by and by. Now my children dear and my mate I must leave here. I must journey to the shores of by and by and by. I must journey to the shores of by and by. For the time has come to meet the one who presides o'er earth and sky. For my race is run and my fortune has been spun. I will meet you at the door of by and by and by. I will meet you at the door of by and by. a pleasure to be with you. I look forward to seeing what comes next and hope to see you next year.
Thank you so much, Susie. That was wonderful. And, traditional music and traditions allow us to approach the by and by and those kinds of things that occupy us in the recesses of our minds, and allow us to get through these kinds of events, this pandemic. The traditions give us tools with which to work and with which to be creative while not avoiding what's really going on. We've lost a lot of people this year, and what a wonderful song to remind us of that, and also to give us hope. So it was great to have you, and I hope that you'll come back and be with us again. I have to say, I dropped in on Susie's class today, and there were 4 different students cooking chicken in, I guess it was 4 different states virtually, and I'm telling you, it looked really good. I wanted to jump through the screen and have some of this fine food. This also reminds me that all of our performers and instructors and artists have, for the most part, all of them have websites where you can look and find their recordings and their books. Susie has several wonderful books and recipe books, cooking books, and so we urge you to support the artists. This has been a tough time for artists, so go to their websites and buy some stuff. Get it, buy a lot of stuff, and support the arts. So wonderful to have you with us, Susie, and it's great to know that you're broadcasting from North Carolina. I love it. Our next performer comes to us from New York State. I've known Wayne for a long time. He's been a great player for a long time. Let me read you a little bit here. Wayne Fugate in the American root style of bluegrass, blues, jazz, and old-time music. He swings gracefully from these styles to his other musical loves of classical, gypsy jazz, and world music. He was recently on Broadway playing mandolin and guitar on Steve Martin I'm sorry, something just got blocked from my screen. Steve Martin and Edie Brinkle's 5-time Tony-nominated musical Bright Star, and played on the show's first national tour. He is a founding member of the widely acclaimed eclectic string band, Uncommon Ground. He also performs and tours with the Mandolin Madness, an ensemble with Barry Mitterhoff and others. And of course, his first group still gets together from time to time. I've always loved them. They're Out to Lunch. What a great name. In fact, maybe Susie, you might want to write a tune about that, Out to Lunch with. Make welcome Wayne Fugate.
Well, thank you, Walt. It's a pleasure to be here. This is kind of getting to be a habit, huh? A weekly habit. This is my 3rd week at Common Ground on the Hill, and my 3rd little virtual concert. And I'm thrilled to take part in these things. We're having a lot of fun in class and learning all kinds of great tunes and things about what makes tunes work the way they work. And so, at any rate, this evening for my 3rd clip, little video clip, I've selected a little tune that we performed with a band called Mandolin Madness. And Mandolin Madness is the brainchild of myself and my longtime Mando pal, Michael Sassano. We've been playing together for many, many years. And we decided, wouldn't it be fun if we could get a gig where neither one of us had to work very hard? Why don't we surround ourselves with unfairly talented musicians that can do all the heavy lifting for us, and we can just kind of coast. And so that was the impetus behind putting this little ensemble together. Kidding aside, some really fabulous musicians in this band. You'll see Barry Mitterhoff playing mandolin. Barry has played with virtually everyone under the sun. Tony Trishka, Peter Rowan, Hot Tuna for many years. Our bass player in this band is an amazing guy by the name of Jim Whitney, who plays bass in Andy Statman's trio. The youngster that we recruited to play with us on guitar is a guy named Corey Brodsky, who just graduated from the Roots music program at the Berklee College of Music, and he's great on guitar. He's even better on mandolin. And my goal in this band is never to have to take a solo right after he takes one. It's pretty scary. And myself and my aforementioned longtime friend and musical collaborator, Michael Sassano. So this is a tune that Barry brought to the group, an old stomp called the Vicksburg Stomp. And it goes like this.
One, two, 3, 4.
So that was fun. Oh, I think you're on mute, Walt. There you are.
I'm trying to find myself.
Aren't we all?
It's just a lifetime of that, isn't it? Just trying to find ourselves, and eventually we find the instrument that works well for us. Well, Wayne, I'm telling you, that group really swang. Amazing.
We had some fun.
Do you have another one for us? I'm not sure.
I think that was it for tonight.
That was it. Well,
That
let
was
me
it.
tell you something. That was really
Following the
great.
old showbiz advice, always leave them wanting more.
Yes. Well, you just hope that they want some to begin with.
Yeah, that's
That's the thing. But really, Wayne, it's been great having you with us, and we look forward to next year. We conceived of a mandolin 3-week program that we called Moth, Mandolins on the Hill. And because of the pandemic, it's been a little difficult to do this, but we look forward next summer to having a full-blown Moth thing going on with the great mandolin staff that we have, and some in-person playing, including a mandolin orchestra. So here.
Yeah.
Thank you so much, Wayne, and take good care of yourself. And if you ever want to get rid of that Monteleone, just let me know.
I'll be sure to give you a call.
Thank you so much.
Okay, thank you, Walt.
Our next performer and final performer of the evening is a wonderful fiddler, Andrea Hoag. She's a Grammy nominee, recipient of a Maryland State Arts Council Individual Artist Award, and winner of Washington Area Music Awards Best Traditional Folk Instrumentalist. She's a legendary performer of Swedish folk fiddling in America. Her music's been on NPR's All Things Considered and Performance Today, at the Kennedy Center, Library of Congress, and at many, many venues throughout the U.S. and Sweden, which tells you a lot about how authentic this playing is. So make welcome and get ready to enjoy some wonderful fiddle music. Andrea Hoag.
Thank you so much. Thank you very much. This is my first time ever at Common Ground, and really very delighted to be here. And what a wonderful evening. Really nice to hear the variety of music. In my class this week, we're comparing 4 different fiddle traditions and having a lot of fun talking about subtleties of bowing and things. But tonight I thought I would focus on the Swedish tradition, which is less familiar to many and very dear to my heart. So I'm going to start with a birthday song, which is not very much what we think of as birthday songs in this country, and I'll tell you a little bit more about that. But I'll follow it with a polska, which is the main form of dance music in Sweden. It's a very old form of 3/4 rhythm, more similar to minuet than waltz in terms of historical period. And there are many different kinds of polska throughout Sweden. This one comes from the province of Dalarna, a very rich province from a little town called Ure. And it's called Polska efter Knuter Jon. That is the fiddler it came down from. And Karl Erik Forslund, who was one of the prominent early music collectors, described the music of this village as melancholy with flashes of brightness, which to me is like driving through the long, long, long miles of Swedish forest with light coming through the trees. So that will be the polska. The song, it's a folk psalm, again from Dalarna, that would have been sung in church. And the words say, "My birthday suggests that I will give a prayer of thanks to God, who made me so well. God shaped with his hands my limbs and my soul. If I never see another birthday, well, do what you will," addressing God. "I have, in my thoughts, already separated myself from earth. Prepare me in time to lift my anchor and sail away in peace." Min födelsedag förtjänar att jag ett tacksamhetsbud till himmelen sänder. att prisa min Gud som skapat mig väl, att jag av hans händer fått lemmar och själ. Och om jag är mer min födslodag ser, så ske som du vill. Jag haver i tankar från jorden mig skilt, bered mig i tid att lyfta mitt ankar och fara i frid. Thank you. So lots of notes not found in the common Western scale in those older traditions. Well, Swedish music is very much a living tradition, so for my second and final tune tonight, I would like to play one that I composed a few years ago when I was invited to play the Broodmarsch for a wedding of a dear friend who she and her bride invited all the friends to their house the night before the wedding for shtick, which we had been warned and invited in advance and organized by another friend to do skits and silly songs that made fun of the wedding couple. And it was a really hilarious evening. So the next day at the wedding, we all felt like we were already old friends, and it set a wonderful tone. So here's Shtick Polska. Thank you very much. Really nice to be with you all tonight.
Thank you so much, Andrea, and what wonderful fiddling, and thank you so much for your teaching. And as I mentioned before, everybody check out the websites of all these performers. You can go to the Common Ground on the Hill website and look at our instructor list, and it'll take you to their pictures and what classes they're teaching, and also how to get in touch with them and to access their websites. So I thank you for everyone who played tonight and who weighed in, and thanks to, as always, Phil Spees for being our engineer, and Maria Wong for making the whole thing run, and thanks to all of our volunteers. And I'm going to drop in on Susi's class tomorrow and see what they're cooking. I'm telling you, it was really something to imagine people in 4 different kitchens cooking this amazing chicken dish that was roasted chicken. Well, I had leftovers tonight, so I'm sort of upset about the whole thing.
You're making me hungry, Walt. It's just dinner time out here in Tucson.
Well, there you go. Tucson. Great. So I guess you know about Common Ground on the Border.
No,
Are you aware of that?
I'm not.
Well, we have to, as they say, have to get you hooked up, because Common Ground on the Border is our sister organization. We work with the Green Valley Samaritans, and we have a January event where we come out and help put out water for the folks who are maybe stranded in the desert. And they have a coffee house, so you just might want to find out more about that. Give me a buzz, and we'll connect you. Great. Well, thank you all, and a good evening to all. Be safe out there.